The Ruling Class Bloodlines and the 21 Seats. Introduction. This is the first of 19 videos that will tell the story of the ruling class bloodlines, the 21 seats, and the two possible timelines that lie ahead of us. One of these timelines will erase the other, based on the decisions that humanity makes over the next 2 generations. Part 1. The bloodlines of the old ruling class on Earth were shaped by a deliberate intertwining of terrestrial and off-world genetic heritage, maintained across generations through selective marriage and lineage preservation. Their distinctiveness lies in 3 main factors. 1. Preservation of specific genetic codes. These bloodlines carried certain markers, both in the physical DNA and in the subtle, non-physical energetic template, that were believed to confer heightened strategic intelligence, charisma, and a natural command presence. Many of these markers trace back to early contact eras, when starfaring civilizations established governance or priesthood structures on Earth. Some of these visitors sought to embed their own traits in human lines that could act as stewards or intermediaries. 2. Energetic resonance and access to memory. The ruling bloodlines often exhibited a stronger capacity to hold and transmit ancestral memory, not just cultural knowledge, but an instinctive sense of timing, influence, and destiny. This was partly maintained through ritual, symbol, and environment, which reinforced the energetic field around the family. 3. Magnetism of authority. Beyond social conditioning, these lineages often possessed a frequency pattern that made others instinctively defer to them. This was the result of both selective breeding and conscious energetic conditioning over centuries. In certain cases, the blood itself was used ritually to bind covenants, both with terrestrial networks of power and with non-physical entities who benefited from continuity of rule. It is important to note that this specialness was not inherently benevolent or malevolent. It was simply the preservation of specific traits and connections. Over time, the original intent behind the preservation was lost or distorted, and in many cases, the focus shifted from service to control. How these bloodlines are connected to present-day systems of influence and whether their energetic hold is weakening. These ancient ruling bloodlines still exert influence in the present day, though their hold is not as absolute as in previous eras. Their continuity has been maintained through several interlinked systems. 1. Embedded positions of power. Over centuries, these families placed their members, or those allied through marriage, into leadership roles across governance, religion, finance, and military structures. This ensured that the same underlying energetic signature remained in positions that shaped public direction, even as visible faces and names changed. 2. Networks of influence rather than direct rule. In modern times, their control often functions through interconnected alliances, banking consortia, think tanks, transnational corporations, rather than direct monarchies or open governance. These networks are bound by shared heritage, ritual ties, and often unspoken agreements about mutual preservation. 3. Ritual and symbolic continuity. Many of the symbols, ceremonies, and public events maintained by certain institutions are remnants of ancient energetic covenants. These act as reinforcement of the original contracts made between the bloodlines and non-physical allies or overseers. 4th, declining energetic monopoly. While their material influence remains significant, their energetic dominance is weakening. This is due to several converging forces: the global intermixing of bloodlines through marriage outside the old circles, diluting the original genetic resonance; the rising consciousness of the general population, which reduces instinctive deference to inherited authority; disruptions in the non-physical covenants, as more people withdraw energetic consent from control-based structures. 5. The present threshold. At this stage in Earth's evolution, the rule of these lines depends less on blood itself and more on the maintenance of belief systems that grant them legitimacy. As belief fractures, their influence becomes less certain. Certain members within these families are themselves awakening and breaking from the old contracts, which further shifts the balance. The origin of the oldest of these ruling bloodlines, where they truly began, and which off-world civilizations seeded them. The group you refer to as the parents, whether counted as 21 pairs or 42 individuals, were a council of genetic architects and territorial stewards operating under the command of Marduk during a phase of Earth's early post-cataclysm reorganization. Their role and identity, nature of the parents. They were not parents in the human familial sense, but progenitors, beings responsible for overseeing the creation, hybridization, and maintenance of specific human and semi-human lineages. Each was tasked with a territory or a genetic strain, ensuring loyalty and stability in regions important to Marduk's consolidation of power. Composition of the group. The council was drawn from multiple origins. Some were pure-blooded members of the Anunnaki factions loyal to Marduk. Others were hybrids with terrestrial human genetics and off-world enhancements, and a few were representatives from allied non-Anunnaki civilizations who saw strategic advantage in cooperating with Marduk's rule. Purpose under Marduk's command. Marduk, having maneuvered himself into dominance after long rivalries, required a stable administrative and genetic base. The parents ensured that ruling bloodlines in key regions carried not only political loyalty, but also specific genetic markers linked to Marduk's own lineage, cementing control through both governance and biology. 21 or 42. The variation in number arises from whether one counts the pairs as unified offices or as individual beings. In many records, they are referred to as 21 seats, each typically occupied by a male-female pairing or two complementary representatives, making 42 total. Legacy. The influence of these parents extended for millennia. Their lineages became the foundation of several ancient royal houses, some of which carried their bloodlines and associated covenants into the historical ruling classes you know from later human history. The memory of their presence survives in fragmentary myths of gods, mating with humans, divine kingship, and the right to rule by blood. End of Part 1.